Today on the show, Shinji finally receives love? And then, what the hell's a goddamn Lilith? And then, shit's really hitting the fan, or starting to. All this and more on Anime Binge Club. Hit the theme.
Are we are we hearing anything?
Man, okay, you know what's so funny is that was easily one of the cleanest intros I've ever done.
Oh my god.
What's up? This is Anime Binge Club, the only podcast that helps us say the thing that's the name of the podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Crittenden, and as always, I'm joined by other people. And here they are. And boy, howdy. You just gotta believe me. You gotta believe me, folks. It was so good. I did such a good job.
Well, your mouth was just below the video, so we couldn't see if you were saying anything or not for sure. And it was definitely like one of those moments that we have in these later episodes of Eva where you're like, did the thing pause?
It was intentional. Yeah, it was an intentional reference to the end of the episode. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of thought you were doing sort of like Shinji's dad, where his mouth is covered to save on animation, and we weren't getting the audio from what it was you were saying.
That's something, watching the show this time around, that's something you watch is so often you're on the backs of heads. People have their hands over their mouths. Like, there's so many tricks that they do so they don't have to animate talking. It's really an impressive masterclass in minimalism, I would say. I mean, I think all anime has stuff like that, but this one is really peak money saving. I think it's amazing.
I totally respect it.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel bad. Like, it kind of just adds to the grim, solemn kind of decay of it all almost, right?
Well, like, if you wanted to jump right into it, the opening of this episode definitely has some stuff that's like simple imagery, but done so artistically.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to jump into it. But first, what's up, Kevin? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I was saying, I think we should have a low budget episode of this show where we just cut every corner we can, and have just these long shots of nothing happening. Yeah. And, super simple recycled backgrounds over and over again and stuff like that.
I think that's a great idea.
Cut to past discussions we've had in other episodes that loosely tie into what we're talking about, just to pad time.
Yeah, it like opens on just a static photo of me, and I'm like, oh, where am I? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm hosting the podcast. Who's that? That was when Jeff was still here, and just, that we got to do. Kevin, write that down. Or don't.
Yeah, okay, and then do recorded. A clip show, basically, of the recap show. Mm-hmm. It's like one of those episodes.
Yeah, I think that could be a good way to frame it instead of the Now That's What I Call Happens, Volume 6 or whatever, If it's just like, and then we can have half of it be new stuff and it's, no animation. I can go into a sound only with the 0-1 kind of thing, and I'll just be like, what you see is that the promised day is coming. And then we'll finally get money on Patreon or something,
Can we trust Ryan?
Yeah.
Or will he betray us?
I laid out a scenario for Ryan to follow, but we've apparently kept his bell on too tight of a ringing, because if a bell isn't ringing, isn't it really just a weird upside down cup? Jeff, what have you been up to?
Well, thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah.
I have been reading Alan Moore's Top 10.
Wow.
Comic, and
that's cool. Fucking
amazing. Like the wordplay and concepts, and it's a world where every character every person in the world is a superhero or has a superhero ego, and it's got this kind of lighter sensibility than Watchmen. Like, it's more comedic, and it's about, like, it's kind of got this detective homicide element to it, but in this world where just the craziest shit ever is going on. It's really amazing, really
So
special.
did you finish the Ball Lightning book?
I did. Yeah, that was
Wow.
great. And I'm moving deeper through the rest of Shichin Liu's bibliography. And
Nice.
it's just filled with unbelievable stuff. I just finished The Cretaceous Past, which imagines a world, a version of the past where dinosaurs and ants both became sentient, and it was like they have this symbiotic relationship and they develop language together, and it's like really, really great book.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ryan, what about you?
I've just been playing a lot of Monster Hunter. Not really watching much stuff right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and me have been doing some stuff from the book The Artist's Way.
Yeah, that's right. I've been keeping up with my writing. So I've been doing that every day.
I've been
Making sure to
joining
get
in
those
on-
morning pages.
I didn't do
also
this.
I gotta
doing
say,
that.
it sounds like, when I first started reading The Artist's Way, I was like, you can't just take credit for the idea of journaling. That's insane. Like, you sound like a fucking crazy person, lady. And then I started doing it, and I was like, you still can't take credit for it, but this is great. This does really, if you just dedicate yourself to starting your day with writing 3 pages, and it's got to be by hand. I'm a big believer in this. It changes the psychology of your whole day, especially if what you're trying to do is write stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been really enjoying that as a little change in habits.
Yeah, Ryan put me onto that, and I've been doing it for a little more than a week now. And doing the morning pages, especially doing it by hand, I can type so much faster than I can handwrite. So at first, my hand was cramping, and then I was realizing that the real exercise of this, the meditation of it, is to slow your thinking down to the deliberate pace of writing, which happens pretty consistently, but more at the syllable thought pace.
Right.
So just slowing down your thinking for 20 minutes in the morning and thinking deliberately like that has been really great.
Yeah.
See, for me, it's different because I don't think that I write much slower by hand than I type. But I just can get into a flow state much better, writing by hand, I've found. Anyway, it's great. Artist's Way. Spencer, thank you for getting me that book.
Yeah. I learned about it from Abed, and Abed was really into it. He's been doing it. I didn't write the pages today. I got to get on that. I do them most of the time in the afternoon because I wake up too early for work most of the days. But I'll figure it out. But yeah, I've been reading this book, Baking for Two, and I've been baking recipes of it. I baked focaccia today, and I ate a whole focaccia in the past 20 minutes. That might be why I was so muted by the microphone. I think the focaccia might have done that somehow. But, oh boy, we're not here to talk about bread. Or are we? Wait a second, you guys. I got a brilliant idea.
I'm a big focaccia guy.
Yeah?
I'm ready to talk about bread.
I could talk about it for a short amount of time. I actually don't have anything to say about it. It's delicious.
I had some good olive oil, and I put the olive oil on it, and it actually tasted like olive oil. It was like olive oil to me usually doesn't have much of a flavor, but this time it did. And I was like, whoa. And it made the focaccia taste kind of complex. Man, focaccia's good.
You ever mix in a little balsamic into the oil?
I did drizzle a bit of balsamic on some of the pieces, but I don't know. The thing with the fresh baked bread, when you home make it, it's just so good and bready. It's I had some cheese too, but I was like, I kind of just am going to eat all this bread and not. But yeah, I definitely had some with the balsamic. I have this good balsamic glaze that I got from this sandwich store. It's a sandwich store on Larchmont. It's not actually a sandwich store. It's a wine and cheese store, but they sell sandwiches that are very good, and they sell the balsamic glaze that they use in the sandwiches. And it's good. Yeah, it's balsamic glaze. It's not straight up vinegar. It has a lot of sugar in it, but oh boy, good stuff. Bread, check it out. You know what would be the perfect fusion of bread and anime is Yakitate Japan. In anime, about, it's basically like Yu-Gi-Oh for bread. There's a guy who's basically like Yu-Gi-Oh for bread or Yugi for bread, and he goes around challenging other bakers to competitions of baking for incredibly contrived reasons. Because like in Yu-Gi-Oh, how everybody orients their lives over card games and is like, oh no, this is a bad business deal. We better duel with cards about it to see if I have to do the business deal. They're doing the same thing with bread, and they're like, if you can't best my incredible cream tart, then you can't buy out my bakery or whatever. And so he's going around baking all the breads. I want to say it's like 70 episodes of this anime, and the manga's like really long. The manga ends with like bread aliens coming down to Earth, and they like turn people into bread. It's very crazy. It's one of the,
I like the sounds of that.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre anime, but it's anime.
Make me into a
bread.
Sourdough.
Yeah, you might. I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, but if you're on board, then hey. I mean, if it's an alien, I'd be down for all sorts of crazy.
You didn't say it was a
shenanigans.
bad thing. You just said that people were getting turned into bread.
Yeah, I don't think they liked it. I think they like stopped being sentient, but I don't know.
Bread-based life came.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they had like a bread cod piece and like bread shoulder pads and stuff, and their head was a different kind of bread.
Breadhead.
Something like that. Yeah, they were a bunch of fucking breadheads. Anyway, anime. Okay. This episode, I think that it gets most of the answers. I think there's still more answers that get explored. I want to say the movie explores them. I don't know that the end of the series necessarily dives too much deeper into like the world building answers, but it's the same kind of thing where it's like we're answering questions and leaving more questions. But a lot of wild stuff happens, or maybe not. I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy, but it's also pretty understated. I don't know. Did you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I felt like I was pretty confused for a lot of this. Like, it's like I got the vibe of what they were selling me. The answer was to all of it, but like it also brought up so many more questions, and also sort of like stuff I thought I knew, like about Sela and Nerve and their relationship and all this. Kind of like I realized I don't think I understand it actually. It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff like that for me, where I was like, maybe I don't actually get what's going on here.
I enjoyed it a lot, but I usually watch these episodes twice, and this one I really needed to watch twice because it was the second time that I understood it well enough to like enjoy it more, and I was more just like I was getting it, but I was also like, wait, what? I had to like pause and be like, what? Why did you say that in such a confusing way? Like, okay, so Adam is from, and you, so you guys, it was just like that. It wasn't like an exciting feeling the first time through. And then the second time through, I had a much better time because I think I understand it much better. And having thought about it for a little bit and then hearing what they were saying again, I was like, I think I get what's going on here. And the final angel, like, who saw that form coming?
Yeah, it's really interesting. What about you, Kevin? Any thoughts?
I mean, I don't mean to sound negative about this, but I feel like this is one of those shows where the writers realized way too late that they weren't getting a second season and tried to pack in all of season 2 into like 4 episodes so that it didn't leave on a cliffhanger. I mean, that's probably more negative than I mean it, but it just feels like they're trying to wrap up all these loose ends and still have some twists in there and still keep you engaged and still not answer everything, but it just feels so rushed, and like the revolutions that we've been waiting for this entire time are not super satisfying because it's just like, oh, that's what that was. Okay, now we're going to move on to this other mysterious thing that we're not going to explain.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know like how much they actually answer all the things. Like, I think all the big movements, they are informed by, you know, these facts, but like I think the big thing is these movements are happening, and you can get some explanation on like what the behind the scenes lore is, but the show doesn't really focus on that. I think you see some of it more explicitly in the movie, but it's not, you know, even then it's the same kind of way. It's kind of like, you know, it's just what you see is what you get. And like, so like I think the big reveal in this episode, and it's not very clear, and even what it means is not very clear, but just to kind of deconstruct it a little bit, because I think it's finally safe to like actually lay this out, at least this part, is that there's Adam and there's Lilith. And in the second impact, Adam was up in the North Pole. And meanwhile, in Tokyo, Lilith is in Tokyo. And they're very similar. They're these weird godlike creature alien things. And we're to believe that Adam was the true progenitor of the planet, but he was somehow usurped by Lilith. And so as a result, and this is, again, there's still probably more layers of revelations, but as a result, the humans that live on this earth are somehow her descendants, and that's why Kaworu calls the people Lilin, because they're from Lilith. And so Adam is presumably gone or whatever, or maybe he's turned into the embryo that's in the suitcase Kaji has or something. But Adam is like MIA, and the angels are coming down. And it's not clear if the angels know that they're trying to get to Lilith, or they think that Lilith is Adam, because Kaworu thought it was Adam until he sees it for himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that makes me think that, like, the angels don't know what they're coming for that, or what it really is that's calling them.
Right. And also it's interesting because I'm not sure what Sela knows, because Sela sends Kaworu down there to do it, but and so I feel like maybe Sela knows, and Sela's because in the end, Kaworu looks at Lilith and is like, "Hey, so this is Adam, huh? Wait a second, you're Lilith. So that's Sela's plan." And so he's like, I think he's kind of like, "Oh, are we being tricked? Like, are we the angels being tricked right now into into making contact with Lilith when we thought it was Adam this whole time? Like, is that their secret plan or something?" Because he kind of makes it sound like, I don't know. Again, this could be more Nerve or Gendo's plan, or it could be Sela's plan, but he thinks something's going to happen. It's not clear what happens, but presumably it somehow has to do with human instrumentality. But
what was the Black Moon and White Moon?
So I don't think I think this is fair to reveal, but because I don't think it really talks about it in the movie or whatever. But basically what happens is Adam was like on a white moon, which is maybe the moon. I'd have to look this up. Let's just say it's the moon. And it was supposed to make contact with Earth. But Lilith was in a black moon, and she made contact with the Earth first. And so that like created the geofront, the one in Tokyo. And so that's her like black moon. It's like this reverse like orb in the Earth. And then she like seeded the human race somehow by that. And that basically deactivated Adam or something, because like he was supposed to do that, but she beat him to it. That's why it was a usurpation. And that kind of like put Adam to sleep and made him inactive because he didn't seed the planet. And he is the progenitor of the angels, who are from the white moon, presumably. And maybe that's the moon, maybe it's not. I don't know. But he was usurped by Lilith, who comes from the black moon. And so like, again, like this is stuff I don't think it's ever really explained unless you go into like the mangas or the PS2 games or whatever. But that is like the underpinning of, what's happening is there's, these alien progenitors, and then they've made stuff, and the stuff is like doing stuff. But yeah. So that's kind of, and I'm sure I'm getting this wrong. I'm sure the Reddit will. I would be so happy if the Reddit had activity in it, because people were telling me I was wrong. But I don't know. I took a lot of notes. But so You guys have any thoughts before I try and get into this?
What's the deal with Gendo having Adam in him, maybe? And what was that image in his hand? Like, I paused it and it looked like something that we had seen early in the show, like some kind of fetus of Adam or Eva. I don't know.
Yeah, so they get the embryonic Adam in the suitcase. Kaji brings it to Gendo. I think he maybe steals it from Sela. That's unclear. But he brings it to Gendo. And then, yeah, at some point, Gendo somehow does something where if that's Adam itself somehow, then he fuses his flesh. I think that's something. I have that in the notes somewhere, but he like takes its flesh within him somehow. And it's not clear what that means.
And that would have happened just recently?
It would have happened relatively recently. Probably post. It would have happened after. Yeah, it would have happened after the Adam embryo showed up. Like maybe that's why he wanted the Adam embryo. And it looks like a smaller version of it. Like it looks a little different, but form wise, it's like this lizard embryo with a big kind of chameleon eye, and that's what Adam embryo looks like in. And then they say in the show, this is Adam when he first shows it, and it's like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about? And then it's like we see Adam down there, and it's like, well, that's Adam. So there's two Adams, and it's like, well, no, this is Lilith apparently.
So anyway. I'm watching not the director's version, and I'm also doing the English dub, so I'm getting a very different experience than you, but. How that played out in the version I just watched was that Gendo said that he stole Adam's soul, and Adam's soul is now within him.
Yeah.
And that made even less sense than what you just described.
I think canonically that's not true. It maybe is, because I think like canonically, and I think Sela says this, unless Sela's wrong, but I think Adam's soul is in Kaworu. I think like he is Adam's manifested soul somehow. And Sela says that. And then the Sela also says Gendo has Adam's flesh, and we put your soul into we invested you with Adam's soul or something like that. But
have we heard, when's the last time we heard the name Lilith?
I don't think it's ever been. I think this is the first episode it's ever mentioned.
And they just go this hard on that? Like, that's pretty amazing.
I was going to say, I agree with Kevin that it feels like it's so rushed. Like the introduction of this new character and all this stuff feels like something that should be like a whole arc, but it happens and like ends in 20 minutes, you know. Like it feels like they should have set up, oh, there's a new children coming, and then the next episode the children comes,
the way the pace of the show has been up until now.
Like there was like so much just like dumped on you, and so much hinged on like an understanding that I don't have of what a soul is in the context of this show.
And specifically the idea of like this, you know, this new child being introduced, Shinji just meeting him, and then like 15 minutes later into the episode, I can't kill him, I love him. And it's like, wait, I don't even like we just introduced him. How do you have this, you know? So yeah, I agree.
Well, you saw that connection they were making?
Yeah, there's like a very instant chemistry between them from the very start. Shinji's blushing. It's interesting because he's, you know, like this is, and people have argued about this. There's a big fracas on Netflix because when Netflix translated it, they say "I like you," but the general translation is generally "I love you." So it's like set up like this very strong attraction. And it's interesting because Shinji doesn't have a lot of like romantic intention towards anyone, basically in the whole series.
Well,
like,
I mean,
there's
this guy's
Asuka.
like Shinji's #1 fan too. Like he shows up and he's like, oh my God. Well, it's him.
That's, I think, it's supposed to like be symbolizing is like, this is someone who has very pure, honest, forward feelings for Shinji and likes him and is kind of like bigging him up from the very beginning. And like, no one's ever done that to Shinji ever. They've been like, oh, you're doing a good job or whatever. But everyone's kind of like been using him. And this is like the first person who is arguably like treating him like with true kindness since his like mom or something. And I think he's responding to that on some level is just like, oh, wow, someone's actually like likes me for me, you know, and isn't like punching me. Or, you know, I think Ida, you know, the guy with glasses, his friend with glasses, I think he is like another example of someone who's like actually just like genuine friends with him. But, you know, he's never, you know, he doesn't have like romantic entanglements with anyone in the series, really. And so I think that's part of it. Is it's just, I think it's supposed to just be like a childhood crush, more or less. But it's just like the first time he's ever even had that, because he's been so closed off that he would never like admit to himself that he has feelings. So this is like a really new sensation for him, I think. But yeah, it's a lot that happens. And I think they spend a lot of time on like, I don't know. I agree. Like Kaworu shows up and he's just nonstop talking. He has a lot of screen time and he's like, look, I got 20 minutes to explain this whole show. He's like, that's my job. I'm telling everybody everything. But it is a lot. But I think it's a really crazy.
Well, he's having revelations that like we don't even have the context for, but it's so obvious that he's, having that revelation that it's like, I understand that that's very important.
And I don't think the audience is necessarily supposed to understand this stuff. I think it's supposed to maintain like what's going on, what do these things mean? But like, in the Reddit sphere, when it's all been deconstructed over and over and common theories are accepted and there becomes like this, canonical idea of what, has happened in the manga and everything. I think, there are answers, but I don't think they're supposed to necessarily come through. I think the vibes are really what's supposed to carry through.
It made me feel like the show was trying to represent that feeling of what it's like to enter a world as a child that it has like more context than you could ever understand. And so you hear about the second impact for a really long time and you don't understand like what's the first impact or what does that mean, or all these different terms and organizations that were built to build other organizations that then turned into different names for organizations. And as a kid, you're like, oh, like, it'll take a really long time to understand the context of history to understand why this insane thing is happening.
Yeah, like I think it's supposed to feel like that, and I think it works better on that level. I think like the idea that there are these big movements that are informing what happens, but we don't dwell too deeply on them, have mostly been a strength of this series. But towards the end, as we start like piling answers on answers on answers, it's like, well, we got this far without that much like explicit understanding, maybe it's a bit too much, or maybe you just keep it kind of more vibes based. I don't know. It vaguely reminds me of like, like season 2 of Twin Peaks, where they're like, well, you got to say who the killer is, and it's like, well, you don't, you can't just, but I think they wanted to wrap a lot of things up, but I don't know. I don't know that you necessarily need all of it. Because I definitely think the stronger part is of the episode is Kaworu's like interactions with people and him just being like kind of this godly, mysterious figure who says these kind of like cryptic things, I think that kind of works better on its face than like, actually being like, oh, now I understand. I think it's like once you understand, it's like, well, but. All right, we're getting into it. So it starts with Asuka remembering when she saw her mom kill herself. She's a little kid. She gets chosen as a pilot, and she's like, "Oh, people are going to be nice to me, so I won't be lonely. So look at me." And you see, it's just her running, and then you see the door open multiple times to just white flash, open, and it's cool. It's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of those like, I don't know, when someone gets killed in like an epic way or something in a movie and you have like multiple angles of them exploding or something, it's kind of like that, but it's kind of more stepped out. It's an interesting like way to make it dramatic. And I think it works really good. And then, I think Asuka's face is really interesting. Like, I think it's like a really great face. It's kind of this like, almost like an awkward, like, what did I walk in on? But it's just like pure horror. And it's also juxtaposed on like, she's so excited, her face hasn't like turned to horror. It's just this like interrupted mid kind of like word kind of face that we hang on as she sees, her mom hanging. And then we get back to reality, and she slaps Shinji, and she can't believe Kaji's gone. And then we cut to her naked in a bathtub. And people argue whether like she's actively tried to kill herself. That's something I'm not super clear on, but it's clear she's like given up at life. People go back and forth because the bathtub looks like it has red water in it. And so is that blood, or is that just like rusted filth in this abandoned bathtub? And then her clothes are neatly on this chair. And there have been Japanese suicide people who have done that. Like the idea of this tidy Japanese suicide is kind of a trope where you don't want people to have to like clean up after you. But at the same time, she's in like a filthy mess. If she wanted to be naked, you would probably put your clothes on like a chair or something, as opposed to just like tossing them in the dirt, But so people
could have been just trying to like evoke suicide imagery, but not like, like it's like she's that low. She's thinking about it, but not necessarily saying that's what's going on in the tub.
Yeah, but she is talking about how she doesn't need to exist anymore. There's no place for her. Her cheeks are so sunken. You get the sense that maybe she's been starving herself for a while. She's been missing for 7 days, and no one knows where she is. So she could have been sitting there for a week. She could have just been starving herself and doing other stuff, and this is where she finally lands. I think people have some theories that maybe Nerve disappeared, or like the Nerve higher ups or Sela kind of disappeared her. Or hid her as like a pretense to call in the fifth children, but I don't think we get very clear on that.
They made a reference to the fact that it was like kind of suspicious that like we couldn't find her for exactly 7 days, and now we find her, or, it was something like that.
Yeah. So like, I think we are to believe that they definitely did this. Either they put her there, like kind of imprisoned her, like left her there to die, or they intentionally didn't find her until it was convenient for them to find her. But either way, the fact that she's been gone for 7 days seems like a machination that's being pulled by Sela. That's what Masato kind of believes. And I think we're to believe she's right, because when she's smelling BS in the past few episodes, she's been like right on the money. And so I think I think we're supposed to believe that like she's probably right about this, which she smells more BS coming on, but she says, yeah, the fifth children arrives today. This is way too convenient. You guys have any thoughts on this part?
No, just my initial reaction to like, a fifth children is arriving was I don't want a fifth children. Like, I want to know what's going on with these children.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, they're not doing well. But yeah, so we're now Shinji is like in bed or something, or I don't know where he is. He's somewhere. He's thinking about Rei, and he flashes to all the Reis in the tank, and he also flashes to his mom's tombstone, and he's like, oh wow, no wonder she seems motherly. And this to me feels like I think we're to maybe believe that Rei is somehow a clone of Yui. And that she has some of her mannerisms or something, and so Shinji's kind of like connecting those dots. I don't know if it's explicit that she's a clone, but they look very similar. But yeah, so then we cut to Ritsuko's talking to Gendo. She feels used. This is her going through the cycle that her mother went through. She's like, I don't feel good having sex with you anymore. You never wanted anything from me in the first place. And this to me connects back to like when Rei's pilot plug went crazy and Gendo goes out to like rescue her and he burns his hands. Ritsuko has this like really horrified look on her face when she sees that happening. And I think that's like a foreshadowing of like this relationship Ritsuko has for her to see Gendo being so interested in Rei's health, where, she's presumably like, wow, he's never done anything like that for me. And I think this is kind of closing that loop there, is like, yeah, I was just tossed aside by you for Rei or whatever, and that's her kind of crumbling. And yeah, she kind of says that she snapped because her cat died, which is interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say about like Shinji putting together like oh, Ray, my mom. Like, I really wish they had been more explicit because it leaves me. I feel like they're trying to say that like Ray exists because Shinji's mom is dead or something like that, and I can't really understand exactly the implication there.
Yeah. One thing we know is that in the episode that's like the Fuyutsuki's flashback is that Gendo is like reeling over the loss of Yui, and Fuyutsuki comes in and is like, hey man, you got to get your shit together. And he's like, oh, it's all good, we're starting this new project. And then like shortly after that, I don't know, maybe the timing doesn't quite work, and then he shows up with Ray. And so I think like basically I think on some level we're to believe that the loss of Yui has kind of sent him spiraling. He has somehow concocted a new plan that either is human instrumentality or it has to do with human instrumentality. And that's like his new life project after losing Yui. And then coincidentally, about the same time, this new girl shows up out of nowhere who is maybe a clone of Ray. So it's like maybe this is how he's coping with it. Maybe Ray's how he's coping with it. Maybe the plan is how he's coping. Maybe they're both part of how he's coping with it. Maybe they're all like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I more mean that like I wish Shinji had explained what he was putting together for himself.
Yeah,
to me, you know, like what is it exactly that
yeah, because you see those two images, but that's it. I agree with that. I think that's fair. And then he later says that like he doesn't know how to. Oh yeah, so everyone leaves Tokyo 3 because it's too dangerous. Which I guess we talked about this last episode, but I guess that explosion did happen in Tokyo 3 because like Misato's like looking out of her window and sees like the wreckage of it. So it's all right there. So I think everyone's evacuating from the city because it's too dangerous now that Tokyo 3 just blew the fuck up. Shinji's saying he has no friends. He doesn't know how to treat Ray. He's staring into the sun. I thought that was kind of interesting because he's kind of at the shore of that explosion lake or whatever. And it looks like he's just looking straight into the sun, which is like, wow, that's not comfortable. But it's interesting how he says he doesn't know how to treat Ray because it's like, why? Because she's a clone, because she's the third one, because she died. What exactly is he feeling, there? And then Kaworu shows up. He's singing a song, or he's humming a song. And then he says, songs are the crowning achievement of the Lilith culture. This is the first reference to the idea of Lilith. So Shinji calls him Nagisa, which is his last name. And he says, please call me Kaworu. And when he says this, Shinji blushes. And I think I mentioned this before, but when you refer to someone by their first name instead of their family name, that's like a really strong term of endearment. It's like something that even when you're dating someone in the beginning in anime, you usually still refer to them in the formal sense by their last name. So it's kind of like a level up of intimacy to start referring to someone by their first name. So I think a Japanese person would on some level get like, oh, this is like heavy flirting kind of energy. And so he says that, and Shinji blushes, and then Shinji says, and you can call me Shinji then. And so he's reciprocating. So I think like, again, like really early on, like I think you're supposed to like be getting the sense that there's some like, heavy vibes between them. And then it cuts to Masato and Hyuga are in this like car escalator. I thought that was like a cool tech thing. It was like their car is kind of going sideways down this like big escalator. And they're talking about like how Kaworu has no information on him and he was sent by the council and his birthday's the second impact. And go ahead.
I feel like that image was a great example of what we were talking about with like great artistic
money
version
saving.
Of the money saving. Yeah, it's just a line going across, but it's like so artistically interesting, and you get like the sense of the world that it takes place in. It's great.
Yeah, and we're on the back of their heads in the car, but it still is like a really interesting and like something we haven't seen before. Like this is a new shot. It's interesting. It's intriguing. And then towards the end of that shot, Hyuga starts moving, but Masato never moves basically in that whole shot. And so, I think it's like, you don't necessarily go like, oh, I'm being, ripped off here, but at the same time, like, nothing's moving. But I think it's pretty cool looking. Let's see. So then there's the sync test. You find out that Kaworu can sync with the 02 without replacing the core, which is supposed to be impossible. They don't know what this means. And then Kaworu meets Ray, and he says, "We both settled on the same body type as the Lilith to survive in this world," which is kind of like, "Oh, we're the same, you and me," which you don't know what that means, obviously, but it kind of seeds the idea that Ray is somehow special or weird. And then they find out that the Magi are going through his data. They can't find anything about him. His true nature is a mystery. And so then Shinji is maybe waiting for Kaworu or maybe not, but they meet up and they decide to hit the showers together. And like Shinji kind of doesn't want to, and I think they go to the showers and Kaworu's like, "Man, you really rely on other people to make the first move, huh? Like you're not doing anything." And he gets into Shinji's nature about how like if you avoid people, you'll never be betrayed, but you're always lonely. And he's just saying like Shinji's really shy and nervous and stuff. And so again, I think like Shinji's responding to he's not shit talking him here, but he's kind of analyzing him in a way that a lot of other people have analyzed. I don't know how much they've done it to his face, but so like I think from Shinji's perspective, it's like, oh wow, this guy really understands me. It's like I'm finally talking to someone who understands me for the first time in my life. Like no one has like understood me and has been able to like express my situation. And most of the people he talks to, it's very confrontational, where he's like, you don't understand, or they don't understand, or they're like accusing him of stuff. But I think he feels very seen by Kaworu. And he says, yeah, humans can go on living because they can forget the pain they're in or something. And he holds his hand in the bath and the lights go off. He says the human heart is in constant pain. He says, you're worthy of my affection. And then at this point, Kaworu says, I like you, Shinji. He uses the word ski or suki, which is love. Like it means I love you. I've seen tons of like dating animes. And when like someone like comes out with their feelings and is like, oh, I like you, do you want to date? Like they usually say like, oh, their name and then ski, like I like this person. So that's supposed to be him like saying he loves him. Any thoughts on any of this stuff?
I mean, first of all, I thought it was funny that like the whole place just like closes at what, like 9 or 10, like the lights go off and they're like, oh, we have to get out of here, they're closing up.
Go ahead.
No, that's all. I thought it was a very sweet scene. I thought like it was just so intense so quickly. The whole time I thought he was like here to trick or kill. I was like, what's his angle on Shinji? What does he want to do to him? Like, I was just so suspicious of him that it wasn't until I like finished the episode that I could see it was like, oh no, this is genuinely like this person sees Shinji, they're being very sweet together, and that's what's going on. Because like in the moment, I was just like, who is this fucking guy? Like, there's no way that this is good.
Yeah, I think he comes across very sinister. He's like a double agent. So like seeing his actions in light of that, it's like a honeypot kind of thing. And I don't know. I think he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. He doesn't do what Sela sends him to do. Instead, he lets Shinji kill him. So it might be that like he is manipulating him just on another level. He's like, oh, I got to get this guy to like listen to me so that he kills me. So then I don't do what they do. Like otherwise, I don't know. Maybe
but I don't know. Like it seemed like in retrospect, like I don't feel like he knew that moment was coming with Shinji beforehand. You know what I mean? Like
I think that's true.
It's like he genuinely is like Shinji's biggest fan.
To me, it's like the thing about the angels being like they seem to have been trying to merge with or infiltrate and understand the pilots of these Evas and stuff, and that like in retrospect, this is a moment of like, no, all these angels like they're coming with love, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it definitely evokes like the trope of like this is God or Jesus, like a second coming of Jesus or something. And he's coming here and he's talking to this guy and he's like, man, humanity kind of kicks ass, huh? This is great. You guys are great. You invented tacos. It's kind of like he's like, wow, this Shinji guy, he's really special. Like I can't believe like they've made such this tender, loving person. Like Lilith are so crazy and warlike, and they whatever. I don't know the word. They resort to like really weird tactics to survive. Like they make abominations to cling to life and stuff.
But hey, they also have pretty songs, you know?
Yeah, they also make music. So I think that's definitely kind of like in the trope space. But yeah, I was unclear on when those lights go out. I was like, when is this? Is it 9 or 10? Because I don't know. Just in my head, I was like, it feels like it's 7 p.m. or something. So it's like, that seems pretty early for like the lights to go off. But
the idea that place closes is weird. Like,
yeah, like everybody
goes 24-hour operation.
Yeah.
They got to save every bit of energy that they can.
Mm-hmm.
They got to use it for the EVAs.
They're running out of budget maybe. But so then Nerve is talking, or Seela's talking. They're like, Nerve was put in place to do our scenario, but Gendo went rogue. We need to take control of Gendo. We need to bring him under heel or punish him or whatever. And then you cut to Gendo. He's talking to the 01. He says the spear of Longinus, which stood in their way, is now gone. Their dream will be fulfilled. You reveal he has this embryonic growth on his hand. And again, I think it's supposed to evoke the Adam embryo, but it's way smaller. So it's unclear exactly what happens. It doesn't like fit space-wise or whatever, but who knows? And then he says, it won't be long now, Yui. So this is another, like, I don't know. I like, he's talking. I don't know if he's just speechifying or if he's just talking to the Unit 01 specifically. But yeah, but he's like, yeah, it won't be long now, Yui. It's like, I don't know if she was supposed to be aware of what his plan was, or he's just like made a promise to her or something. But then it cuts to Rei thinking about Kaworu. I think the shots here are really interesting because I think symbolically, like, you see a lot of stuff. Like, it feels very artistic. She says, why am I here? And it cuts to like this light that's turned off. And then she says, why am I alive again? And it cuts to all these beakers on her little like tray table thing. And then she says, for what? And then it cuts to the moon. And then she says, for who? And then it cuts to Gendo's glasses. So I think symbolically, it's like, why am I here? Lights are out. It's like, I don't know. It's like everything's fucked, or like things are dying, or it's like, it's over. Why am I alive again? The beakers, it's like, oh, she was born through the science lab that we saw like last episode or whatever, you know. So the beakers are like, why she's here, why she's alive again, because of science. And then it says, for what? And it cuts to the moon, which, you know, is presumably related to Adam or something. And then for who? And it's Gendo, you know, and his glasses. And I think like it works even if that symbolic meaning isn't there at all. But to me, I was reading it with like, oh wow, it seems like it's like hinting at a lot of this stuff. But anyway, Masato has to give Pen away because it's getting too dangerous. So she says goodbye to Pen, and that's a sad part. And then yeah, Shinji's with Kaworu in bed. They're talking, and Kaworu says, "I might have been born so I can meet you." Then we cut to Kaworu's talking. He's standing. The shot of Kaworu's like standing on the statue talking to the Sela dominoes, I think is like a really great shot because he's standing on this like crumbling, twisted like angel statue that's like mostly in the water, you know, and it's just like this great shot. And then you have all these like dominoes kind of like floating around him. I don't know. I think I just thought it was so cool. And then yeah, so again we get some of this is another big like lore drop. Gendo is like trying to steal our hope. He's trying to reopen the Pandora's box. He's trying to close the Pandora's box before hope could come out. And Kaworu is like, that's what you call hope? And he's like, yeah, well, hope takes many forms, but our hope is manifest or whatever. And he's like, we speak of Lilith, progenitor of humanity, the usurper successors of the Black Moon, and Adam, the progenitor of their legitimate successors, the angels of the now lost White Moon. The soul that was salvaged from him exists within you. However, his restored flesh is already within Akari. So it kind of sets up the idea that like Sela believes in the white angel, the White Moon angel Adam or something. So it's like, I wonder if they're like on the side of the angels or something. And clearly they have this guy who's like an angel or something on their side. So it's like, is Sela sending the angels? I don't know. But I didn't know how to interpret that. But to me, it felt like they're saying, look, Adam was the true legitimate like heir to the throne or whatever. And humanity has to be punished. And, you know, we're sending you, I don't know. It's not clear. but they drop a lot of lore and then they disappear, and he's like, oh, I know what I must do or whatever. You have this mission, so they instill him with a mission. He's like a double agent. And then I really like the shot that you see Masato is looking at him through like the binoculars, and they have like 100x magnification you can see on their heads up display. And then Kaworu turns around and sees her, and he's got this like he has this really smug smirk in most of his shots. Like he has this like air of like smugness, and I thought his face is really good. He's just like really kind of like Cheshire cat, like grinning at her, and she puts down her glasses, and then it's so far away. Like she puts her binoculars down, it's like so far away, and she's like, "Holy shit, did you see me?" No way. And then again, you see it's so far away, which is. I don't know. I thought that was cool. Any thoughts on any of this stuff?
Yeah, this is one of the scenes where it made me question like what I thought I knew about Sela and what they were trying to do, and because it's like it made me. I guess it made me less confused than I was before because it illuminated things I wasn't aware of, but also I feel like I left more confused than I was before this scene, because it's like it's just so unclear, and they speak in just like
riddles,
like riddles inside of riddles that are so heavily coded that I just can't penetrate it.
I think they do that on purpose. Like it might be they didn't even know what it was supposed to be, so they're like, if we just talk in vague generalities enough, then people will be like, oh,
that could totally be it. Yeah. I don't know. It gave me the feeling of like, I don't know, this whole character showing up and like all of these lore dumps almost have the feeling of like they thought of something really cool super late into making this and wanted to like drop it in. I don't know. I'm just supposing there.
Something that was funny watching the dub with the sub was that like the dub was saying this complicated thing, but the sub was saying the exact same thing, but like backward, like the sentence structure was reversed. And it was just like, I had to like stop and like close my eyes and listen to the dub. And then I had to stop and like mute it and just read the thing and be like, I think I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really weird. It's hard to parse. Recently, there's these articles. You know how there's a bunch of like trash, like media articles that you get paid $25 to write them, and they're usually sensationalist, and they have like very little substance to them, and all that stuff. I was seeing one going around that was that Ono, the creator, said something, and this was in like a recovered old interview from like 2008 or something, and he said something along the lines of, Eva's not deep, it's just supposed to feel deep. Like the idea being like, we wrote all this stuff so it's supposed to sound like there's all this depth to it.
Shit,
and
man, I didn't want to hear that, because I was like, there were definitely parts where I was like, there's a version of this where I'm like, they're just like making things sound like there's all this implied stuff, but I bet they've actually got it all figured out. I mean, it's a classic.
Well, I think they have the answers. They just aren't clearly in this text. Like I think when the manga comes out, they actually settle a lot of the stuff more for real. But I think like they didn't quite hit it. So like in the actual text, they don't like come out and say all the answers per se. Like they do this stuff like they're saying, and again, you can go back and be like, okay, so that's that and that's that and that's that, but it's not like right there. It's so I think that's maybe what he meant, because again, after that article came out, another article came out that's like, oh, actually that's not what he meant. He meant something else. And so it's like, okay, was this just a super sensationalist headline or whatever? But yeah. Anyway, someone was talking. I thought I heard someone start to talk.
I was just going to ask also, like, we don't know the mechanism by which he's seeing these floating obelisks, do we? Is this like psychic ability or tech, or like what's going on?
Yeah, because Masato doesn't see that. And we've been to believe that these are holograms or something, but they're not in like a hologram space. So yeah, we definitely don't know. I would believe it's like he can personally see them because he has powers, but they're using the same technology. It just shouldn't be able to reach him per se, because he essentially doesn't have a telephone, and they're talking on the telephone and he's just talking back to them without a telephone. I think is like maybe, but who knows? I was surprised by that because you could see them and then they disappear and then Masato doesn't see them, but she definitely would have been able to see them if they were visible.
Yeah,
Unless
I guess maybe it's just in his head.
Yeah. I mean, he does have god powers. He probably would have like cell phone brain, that seems possible. But so then Masato goes to see Ritsuko, who's locked up. She wants to figure out who Kaworu is, and Ritsuko says he's probably the final messenger. And angel means messenger. This is something a lot of people miss in just Bible stuff, but angel is like a word that means messenger. So, this could imply that he's the final angel, and he is the final angel. And then I didn't see that until this part, but you see the nerve symbol on that wall in her prison or whatever, and it says God is in his heaven. All is right in the world, which is like, imagine working for this company and seeing that somewhere and being like, what the fuck? Like, I can't hear you, Jeff. Oh no, Jeff's doing it now. Jeff. Oh no, he's introducing the show. Oh boy.
Hey guys, it's me, this No, I thought that was such a funny slogan, and that like it's especially funny with all of the stuff that it's been saying about like, is mankind a god? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Should it be? Should it try to be?
Yeah, what I was thinking is, again, it links to like if Seela's on the side of Adam and Adam's disappeared, they're like, yep, that's what we want is Adam to be gone. He's in his heaven. Everything's good. This is all fine. But I don't know. I don't know if it ever leads to anything. So then Kaoru kind of initiates the plan. He floats. He wakes up 02. We cut to see Asuka's in the hospital. She looks kind of catatonic. She's kind of just staring at the ceiling. Maybe she's been drugged or something. And then a song starts playing, that ba-da, ba-ba-ba-da, whatever. And that's the song that Kaoru was humming. And they're like, oh shit, the 02 woke up without an entry plug. Pattern blue, it's an angel. And so they're like, holy shit, what's going on? Kaoru is going down to the terminal dogma. And they lock down to try and stop him. And then Seela starts doing Sephiroth monologue again. They're like, mankind forgets his folly. He must atone before he can grow. We will not use Adam or the angels. Which is like, I don't get what that's supposed to mean, because if Adam's soul is in him, then they definitely are using Adam. I don't know. But they're saying all this shit. And then they say he's penetrated Kakiotis 2. I don't know how to say that. Kakitas. And Kakitas is another reference to a Greek underworld place. It's a frozen lake in the underworld that exists to punish those who commit treachery. And so that's interesting because, everyone's being treacherous, but Shinji is like, he betrayed me. And so it's just interesting how like he penetrates Kakitas 2 right before that happens. But yeah, Shinji gets sortied. He's pissed. He feels betrayed. They start fighting. They're talking about stuff. Man, okay, so like the 02, they both pop knives. 02 like comes to stab Shinji, and Shinji stabs Asuka's knife with his knife. Like his knife is piercing her knife, and it's like, damn, again, Shinji is like good at like the robot drivers are good at driving robots. Yeah.
Talking about the third children, my man.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only guy who synchronized 400%. He's synchronized so good, he stopped existing. Or his pants existed in a quantum state or something like that. And so Kaoru explains that the AT field is the sacred region which none may violate. It's the light of the heart, which is interesting because it implies like, oh yeah, all these force fields, that's just your heart. Like that's, it kind of to me like might reference like the human soul or something. Like maybe you can like use your soul to be an AT field, or maybe your soul is an AT field or something. I don't know. But he also says everybody possesses one. So it's like, oh, everybody has an AT field. Then they stab each other. The O2 stabs Shinji in the chest, and Shinji stabs the O2 in the neck. Masato's like self-destruct if they make contact with Adam. And then Kaoru deploys the most powerful AT field ever recorded. It blocks out the sensors so they can't tell what's going on. The shot of the Evas falling into the terminal dogma, where like it's kind of like it's all dark and red and burgundy, and then the mountain peaks are like white. They're kind of like negative. That's like a really cool shot. It's pretty simple, I guess, until the water showed, like the water splash, but it's like a really good shot to me. And then Kaoru bones out. Shinji's fighting the O2. They say Heaven's Door is opening, and then they say another AT field's detected, but then it vanishes. They're like, is it another angel? And then Rei shows up somewhere she's not supposed to be. She's just like standing on the ceiling or some shit. And so I think that's supposed to imply like, oh, like maybe Rei is like Kaoru in some way. Maybe she has like crazy powers like Kaoru does. Because presumably she's the source of this AT field. But she's just watching. She doesn't really do anything. So yeah, Kaoru says, Adam, mother to my kind, must his children return to him, even if that means dooming humanity? And then he's like, wait a second, you're not Adam, you're actually Lilith. And then he's like, oh, so that's your plan. And so again, we're this person that we thought was Adam is actually Lilith, and completely unclear what that means, other than Lilith is this usurper progenitor or something. Yeah, Shinji shows up, grabs Kaoru. Kaoru starts talking. He says it's his fate to live on, even if man dies, but he can die here if he wants. Choosing to die is absolute freedom. You can destroy me. If you don't, your kind will disappear. Only one can survive. Your kind needs a future. I'm happy I met you. And man, this pause. Kevin, how long was the pause before? How long was that?
It's got to be at least 30 seconds.
And it was long in the non-director's cut too.
Yeah. That's like, it was.
This
so
one was
long.
weird because it is an important piece of music, but it really just made me be like, what? Like, I know it's an important moment. Like, I got it, but it didn't really land as deserving that long pause unless you're like really into the lore of this world and you really like it seems like it's better on a rewatch, but also it was just like, it just seemed a little bit too, like it could have maybe cut to a couple other close-ups to indicate the importance of the moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's money saving, right? I think like lore aside or whatever, I think if you're, I think it's like, I like the music and the way that the music plays into the pause, but I think really what you're supposed to sit in is like Shinji is really contemplating. He's like, am I going to kill this guy that I love? Like, he's like the only nice. And then after it happens, he's like, he should have lived and I should have died or whatever. You know, he's too good of a person or whatever. So it's like, this is something he's struggling with. And it's positively Lynchian. Like, we're just sitting in it and it's like, wow. Like, yeah. I think it's just really uncomfortable. I think that's part of what's like, well, what the fuck are we watching? Because it's like, that's how uncomfortable it is. And I think that's like supposed to artistically evoke like, this is like this tough, like tragic moment. This is also in the manga, apparently Toji actually dies when he gets the pilot plug crushed. But in the anime, he survives. But that was like the first violence Shinji's ever complicit in, but this is actually Shinji killing someone, someone he loves, and is like, so I think that's like, it's supposed to be like a big moment in that sense. It's like, this is the first time Shinji's ever willingly taken a life. Like, obviously he's an angel or whatever, but he's also like a human. And so he's like, I'm actually choosing. It's also the most proactive he's been. Like, this is a choice he himself is making, under his own will, because he feels like it's the right thing to do. So I think that's part of it too, is like, he's more self-actualized in this moment than he maybe has been in any other part of the series, where he's just kind of performing for other people. He kind of does this for himself because he thinks it's the right thing to do. I think is part of it too. But I mean, it's obviously like, wow, we're doing this again. This is like the third time in 3 episodes that we're like pausing like that. So I think that
I just feel like I could have used a close up on him trembling, his hand not wanting to do it, but also like we've seen that before, and I do think that this is artistic.
I really think it's like a matter of like, we just met this guy and it's happening so fast. It's hard for this to land with like the impact they want it to.
Yeah.
Because like, who cares about this guy? I don't. Are you sad? I'm not.
No.
But like, I think it's an awesome moment though, because I do like it's on the one hand super impressive because they conveyed all this information so fast that I understand why it's a big moment, but I also get why it didn't land for you, Jeff, because it's like yeah, it just like they steamrolled through this guy as a concept, as a character. Like there's so much to him, and you're digesting all this information that he just dumped on you when it happens.
And also, Shinji doesn't know most of that shit anyway. Like he's not talking to all those people. Like
yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like
like none of that has any.
different.
All the information that he gave you right before this, like in his monologue, like has nothing to do with what Shinji's thinking or feeling. It's like
it's just like there's so many things to stop and consider, from him being an angel, which is like definitely great, to Gendo has a form of Adam in him.
Yeah.
Adam is actually a Lilin. And what is a Lilin? Obviously, like humanity, I guess, but that's what the angels think of. You know, it's just like there's like a lot that you're thinking about, and not like going with the action of the characters for me in this episode.
Sidebar, I just remembered that Lilith is like the mythological name for Adam's first wife.
Right.
It's not in the Bible, but it's like a
It's in the
story.
Apocrypha or something.
That she's like a, you know, like Jewish mythology, like in like
fanfic.
Yeah. The
well, the Bible is fanfic.
Didn't make the Bible, but you know, she was his first wife. She's no good. She's a seductress,
just like Frasier.
You know, she's a home wrecker, basically.
Yeah, she was cast out of the Garden of Eden for disobeying Adam.
Yeah.
She was written out of the Bible. She tested poorly in the early drafts of the Bible. But yeah, so I think that's all fair criticism. So the way the movies work is the first movie is like a recap movie that covers the whole run of the first season. And then the second movie is End of Evangelion. That's like the movie, so to speak. But I would be interested to find what if the movie handles Kaoru differently, because I think the movie kind of powers through a lot of the intermediary angels. It's like, then there's this angel, then there's this angel, then there's this angel. It's kind of like a montage. And so I would imagine if there was a movie, they might spend more time on Kaoru. But
like it leads up to him, and then like he's like what it's been leading to, and they spend the time of that episode in the movie.
Yeah,
that would make sense to me.
First Eva movie. You Are Not Alone. I'm just trying to find the runtime. Eve, sorry everybody. You Are Not Alone. I'm just, because you imagine, okay, an hour 38 minutes. You imagine in like a 1 hour 38 minute rendition of Eva, like if Kaoru shows up at like the end of the second act or something, or the beginning of the third act, like that might feel like a better arc in that movie, you know? Like I think that might work better. But then in the 24th episode of a 26 episode run, and he's just like, hey, I'm this. He's just like, there's an extent to which is like, I don't know. I would love to see, this would almost be a sketch, but I don't know how you do it in a sketch, where you're setting up all this stuff, and then like one character like literally runs in and just starts like spouting off like this is what this is, and that's it, and you gotta understand there's a giant train coming, and like and then they just like okay, and then like a action montage starts up, and then it's like the end kind of like climactic sequence or whatever, like because that's kind of structurally what's happening here, and it is kind of funny to imagine like he's just got so much to do in this episode. Like he's nonstop, and then he dies. He shows
and
up.
Like Sela was just saying that there's going to be like 8 more Evas that are just about to be online, but each of those would theoretically need a children. So this is the 5th children, but like there's obviously going to be like, I don't know, 7 more who are going to show up.
But it's
so
also like the 5th children doesn't need to be in an Eva to use it? Like, how come why would you ever need another children? Anyway, it raises a lot of questions that I don't think are that important, but like,
exactly.
Yeah. But I definitely think, I think again, like the ending, that long shot is also just kind of like, it kind of feels a little bit like, yeah, we were trying to be deep, because it does feel like someone trying to be deep, you know? But yeah, I will land on, I think it's supposed to be uncomfortable, and I think it succeeds at being uncomfortable at the very least. But yeah, and so you see like fucking his head drop into the water or whatever. But yeah, and so then the last scene is Shinji and Masato, and Shinji's like saying like, "Oh, this shouldn't have happened. It was terrible. He deserved to live." And Masato's like, "Nah, he gave up his will to live and clung to a delusion of hope. It was good that he died." Or whatever. And then Shinji's like, "Man, that's cold. Like, you're cold as fuck." And then the episode's over. And like Masato is like over it at this point. She's like, I've had it up to here with this shit. I'm so fucking sick of these fucking people. And yeah, we're all over. Any final thoughts?
There was just this like throwaway line just before that really long shot of Shinji holding him, of that scientist with the glasses, like I think trying to do like one last hit on Masato, where he says something like, dying beside you wouldn't be such a bad way of going out. Like he's like one more try, he's gonna get her, and like her face barely moves, but it just moves enough in this like almost like disgusted way that I really enjoyed.
I think that's different, because I think we're on her back in the shot.
In the one I saw, yeah, it's like you're looking at them from behind.
I gotta watch the not director's cut now. But yeah, that's interesting, because I think Hugo said something like that before. I think like
this isn't the first time he's done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also I think on some level, it's to talk about how like she's like actually a reliable leader who all of these people can actually trust. Like, she's seen them through all this stuff. She's not like cold like Ritsuko. She's not using everybody like Gendo. She's not like impenetrable like Fuyutsuki. Like they kind of are like, yeah, we're just pawns in this machine, but like Masato's solid at least, so I think there's that too. But yeah, I think it's definitely the second time it feels kind of flirty or whatever. But yeah, any other final thoughts?
I really can't imagine like how this wraps up now. Like this introduced and answered so much that like wherever I thought it was going, like I'm not sure anymore. I'm just not. Yeah, I'm like excited to see the conclusion.
Yeah, there's an extent to which this feels very like, wow, this feels very ending-ish. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no. Well, I thought that the idea of the final angel was a really good like form. Like I didn't see that coming, and that was honestly like a satisfying concept. But again, like if I were watching this in any other circumstances, there's no way I would allow myself to not finish the last two and just be like, I got to know what the hell. Just let it wash over me already. I'm done. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. Exactly. It's just like, I need to know, what did this show do?
Kevin's maybe free on Monday or Wednesday. We might be able to record then if you guys want to just get through, because I think we're going to handle the last two episodes together. But yeah, maybe we could do that.
Could make that happen. I just mean like it's just this feeling of like I know the way I watch TV is just so different, and I would just like never at this point not just be like, well, there's two left. Let's just fucking get it done.
Yeah, but I think these ones, they benefit more from kind of running them together more than the rest of the episodes. It kind of gains pace. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, all right, that's our show. What do you thathappenspod@gmail.com. That happens. The Patreon. No one can know about this. You're not allowed to know about it. So fuck off. Do you guys want to plug better than that? I mean, it's hard to beat that, right?
It's hard to beat any
better than that.
Check out our podcast. No one can know about this. We're in the off season now, but there's plenty for you to go find.
And you have a YouTube, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The video version of season 7 is coming out publicly right now. So if you want to sit on the couch with us while we played Final Fantasy IX, go to the YouTube for No One Can Know About This.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, what do you think? Are we done?
I think we're done. I think
All right.
we'd call us done.
All right. Hey, kids, it's me, Spenpie. Today's lesson, I love you. Ski. Goodbye.